Alleged leader of the 28th gang Ralph Stanfield is accused 1 on the charge sheet. His wife Nicole Johnson accused number 2.
Yeah, there are charges of corruption, there are charges of fraud.
Lawyers for the accused raised concerns about the multiple cases being joined, with some describing it as a legal and logistical nightmare.
Some call them South Africa's most dangerous couple. But behind the luxury salons, petrol stations, and multi-million rand mansion, Nicole Johnson was allegedly building an empire alongside her husband, Ralph Stanfield, the alleged boss of Cape Town's notorious 28th gang. This is a story about power, corruption, and a reign of terror that has gripped one of South Africa's most beautiful cities. Alleged to be at the head of the 28th gang and a key player in the firm, his influence stretches far beyond petty crimes. Reports suggest that Stanfield wasn't just involved in regular gang operations, he tapped into the veins of corruption, working with crooked police officers to procure illegal firearms. Between 2013 and 2014, Stanfield is said to have acquired multiple weapons illegally, simply by leveraging corrupt contacts. Even though his application for legal firearms licenses were repeatedly turned down, he found ways to work around the law. His story is intertwined with something called Project Impi. This investigation exposes how thousands of guns, which were supposed to be destroyed by the police, ended up fueling violent arsenals of gangs. Project Impi was initially intended as a South African police service initiative to decommission and destroy firearms that had been confiscated or surrendered. However, it became synonymous with one of the country's most significant police corruption scandals. At the heart of it was Colonel Christian Prinsloo, the commander of the Germiston Police Armory. Instead of ensuring the destruction of these weapons, Prinsloo systematically stole thousands of firearms, including pistols and rifles, selling them primarily to Cape Town gang lords. This illicit pipeline directly funneled weapons meant to be taken off the streets back into the hands of the most dangerous criminals, effectively arming the very gangs the police were supposed to be fighting. The scale of the operation was staggering, with estimates suggesting over 2,000 firearms were diverted between 2007 and 2015. The consequences were devastating, particularly on the Cape Flats, where forensic ballistics linked these specific weapons to over 1,000 murders, including multiple children caught in gang crossfire. Prinsloo eventually pleaded guilty in 2016, receiving an 18-year prison sentence for his role in the scheme, admitting to selling the guns to arms dealers Rashied, who then supplied them to gangsters. While Stanfield wasn't directly charged in the Prinsloo case, the Project Impi scandal laid bare the corrupt network that allegedly allowed figures like him to access police-issued firearms, bypassing illegal channels entirely and contributing directly to the bloodshed gripping the city. Each detail made me ask, how many lives have been affected by these illicit arms? And could the flow of illegal weapons be the true lifeblood of Cape Town's criminal networks? Over the past 2 years, the Stanfield family name in Cape Town has become associated with violence and tragedy, as 3 of Ralph Stanfield's relatives have been killed in incidents described as targeted attacks. In March 2023, Simon Stanfield, also known as Plain Simon, was fatally shot multiple times in an apparent assassination. Later that year, another relative, No Stanfield, also known as No Stephanus, was gunned down outside Valhalla Park home on November 4th, 2023. And most recently, in December 2024, Craig Stanfield was killed in Valhalla in what sources described as another shooting connected to the web of violence surrounding the Stanfield name. While the exact connections between these murders and Ralph Stanfield's alleged criminal activities remain unclear, they clearly show the violent environment in which he allegedly operates, where family ties can prove deadly. This pattern of violence surrounding the Stanfield family adds another layer to the complex criminal landscape that authorities are attempting to dismantle through this prosecution. Nicole Johnson presents herself as a legitimate businesswoman, but authorities paint a very different picture. The Western Cape High Court delivered a scathing assessment of Johnson in a judgment handed down on May 13, 2024, stating a holistic analysis of the evidence portrays Johnson as a person who does what she needs to, even if it means being deceptive and taking the law into her own hands. She does not hesitate to lie and give false evidence if she thinks it will benefit her. This judicial characterization has undermined her repeated attempts to secure bail, with the court finding she does not respect the legal system and would not hesitate to undermine the criminal justice system, including the bail system. Johnson's business activities have come under intense scrutiny since her arrest, with several of her businesses blacklisted by Cape Town's municipality and one blocked by the national government. Her ties to 2 salons she was running have also been severed, and discrepancies were identified targeting her links to other ventures. She was the general manager of the Ayepyep Lifestyle Lounge in Cape Town's city centre, where she reportedly earned about 70,000 rand per month, though the court said Johnson's evidence on this aspect was very confusing, intentionally so, in my view, to muddy the waters. In a shocking turn of events, in October 2024, the former bodyguard of the late Steroid King, Brian Weinstein, accused Johnson of smuggling steroids prior to his death. During court proceedings, a telephone call between Johnson and the bodyguard in the days leading up to Weinstein's funeral was played, in which she heard asking about different types of steroids. In his testimony, the bodyguard claimed Johnson was his client and that Stanfield knew he was in contact with her, though he was not sure if Stanfield was aware of their business deal. The bodyguard, who may not be named for legal reasons, has been testifying in the Western Cape High Court about his involvement in Weinstein's murder. Weinstein was shot dead in his Constantia home in August 2017 while sleeping next to his wife and child, and at the time of his murder he was named on Interpol's most wanted list, having allegedly fled the US. The connection between Johnson and this high-profile murder case adds yet another layer to the complex criminal web that prosecutors are attempting to unravel. One of the most disturbing aspects of this case against Stanfield and Johnson involves their alleged intimidation tactics following the disappearance of a former employee. According to court documents, the employee, who allegedly stole over 1 million rand from the couple, received a tip-off on November 24, 2022, that Rolf had planned to kill him. The employee hid his girlfriend's BMW in a complex in Milnerton and went into hiding, triggering what prosecutors describe as a witch hunt by Stanfield and Johnson. The state alleges that Stanfield and Johnson threatened the father of the employee, physically assaulted an unsuspecting neighbor, and took the BMW without the vehicle's owner's permission. The car was later found on June 15, 2023, at a Belleville home connected to the 28's gang. Rolf Stanfield was heard asking Simon Stanfield if he had heard anything about the owner of the car. And the witness also said that Stanfield told Simon that there was no hope for the owner of the car and that he should just finish him. Since their arrest, Nicole Johnson has made 4 separate attempts to secure bail, all unsuccessful. Her initial bail application was denied, after which she brought a new application based on allegedly new facts, including concerns about her teenage daughter's health. However, her case was severely damaged when the state played an audio recording from the vehicle tracking company Tracker, allegedly showing that she had committed fraud. Johnson had claimed in an affidavit, "I am the only person in the business that can change the price of fuel at the fuel pumps." But according to the High Court judgment, this statement was proven to be false by the evidence presented by the state, showing that the fuel price had indeed been changed at the fuel pumps after Johnson was arrested and detained. Johnson then approached the Western Cape High Court to appeal the magistrate's decision, but Judge Haley Slingers denied her release on bail, finding that Johnson would attempt to influence or intimidate witnesses and destroy evidence. In October 2024, Johnson suffered yet another setback when Supreme Court of Appeal dismissed her application, ruling that her application had no prospects of success. Judge Slinger's assessment was particularly damning. Such a person does not respect the legal system and would not hesitate to undermine the criminal justice system. The Ayepyep Lifestyle Lounge introduces an interesting twist to the Stanfield Johnson story, with several reports tying the venue to incidents of intimidation and violence. In 2021, business partners Kiso Seta and DJ Somebody opened the lounge in Cape Town, but reports indicate that Stanfield joined the venture to provide security while his wife was installed as the general manager. Then, in November 2022, DJ Somebody was fatally shot by unknown gunmen while he was traveling with his bodyguard to an event in Johannesburg. After this tragedy, Kiso Seta came forward, claiming that Stanfield had been threatening him and effectively taken over the lounge. This led Seta to flee with his family to Dubai in April 2023. There is even a conspiracy theory suggesting that Stanfield might have been involved in DJ Somebody's death, although this remains unverified. Further reports state that the club has reopened and is now reportedly owned by DJ Somebody's family in partnership with someone from Rolf's side. The fact that Stanfield and Johnson were living in Constantia, one of Cape Town's most elite and expensive suburbs, raises questions about the source of their wealth and their ability to move between legitimate business and alleged criminal enterprises. But it all came crashing down. Rolf Stanfield and Nicole Johnson were arrested at their home in Constantia in September 2023, starting what would become one of South Africa's most high-profile criminal cases. What initially appeared to be a straightforward vehicle theft investigation has expanded dramatically into a case involving 13 accused and more than 30 criminal counts relating to murder, attempted murder, and unlicensed firearms and ammunition. This power couple, once seemingly untouchable, now faces a legal battle that could keep them behind bars for decades as investigations continue to uncover new evidence and implicate additional suspects. The state has alleged that the group is part of the Firm gang, suggesting that an organized criminal network with far-reaching influence throughout Cape Town's underworld. Security has been remarkably tight during court proceedings, with police stationed around the courtroom and access restricted to officers, journalists, and legal representatives only. As of the latest court appearances, both Ralph Stanfield and Nicole Johnson remain in custody, with Stanfield being held in Braunfley prison. They are yet to formally plead to the charges against them, which now include murder, attempted murder, fraud, document destruction, and firearm offences. The complex web of alleged criminality has led to a case that continues to grow, with legal experts suggesting this could become one of the biggest organized crime trials in South Africa's recent history. For Cape Town, a city plagued with gang violence for decades, the outcome of this case could be far-reaching implications for the power structures that have enabled gangs to flourish. But the question remains, will justice finally be served, or will the influence of the 28th gang and the Firm continue to cast a shadow over Cape Town?